Hi everyone. This next module is going to include the Harlem Renaissance, and we're going to take a look at 1920s Harlem, New York City, New York, and its impact. There's a huge art movement from poets to authors to musicians and singers to artists, visual artists like us, woohoo, and more. And the impact felt from the African American community during the 1920s, specifically in Harlem, New York, has untold ripple effects. One of the most significant ones was the Civil Rights Movement, and one of the poets that inspired many of our Civil Rights Movement leaders, like Dr. King, was Langston Hughes. So I'm going to read to you some of Langston Hughes' poems. Langston Hughes is one of my all-time favorite poets, so I'm going to read to you a couple of his poems, and we're going to talk about him more in class. Okay? This is a collection of quite a few of his poems. I'm going to read to you one of my favorite, which is Mother to Son. And the artistry and the artwork and illustrations by Benny Andrews for this book are just stellar. Okay? Mother to Son. Here a mother tells her son to continue to strive despite life's hardships. The poem contains one of Hughes' most memorable lines. Life for me ain't been no crystal stair. So listen for that line, okay? Well, son, I'll tell you. Life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time, I's been climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So, boy, don't you turn back. Don't you set down on the steps 'cause you find it's kinder hard. Don't you fall now, for I's still going, honey. I's still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair. The next poem that we're going to read is believed to have been the inspiration for Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. So listen carefully. Besides poetry, Hughes was also interested in drama, and he wrote several plays. This poem comes from his only opera, Troubled Island, which he wrote with the composer William Grant Still. I Dream a World by Langston Hughes. I dream a world where man, no other man will scorn, where love will bless the earth and peace its paths adorn. I dream a world where all will know sweet freedom's way, where greed no longer saps the soul, nor avarice blights our day. A world I dream where black or white, whatever race you be, will share the bounties of the earth, and every man is free, where wretchedness will hang its head, and joy, like a pearl, attends the needs of all mankind. Of such I dream my world. Now for your teacher's very, very favorite. Okay. When I taught 8th grade English, we would do this with a whole hip hop unit and really get into it and the meanings and the deeper meanings with it. And it's awesome. It's incredible. Okay. The poem is called Harlem, as you know, and as you're going to find out. Harlem is the neighborhood in New York City, okay, where this explosion and great migration of brilliant minds, like for creative geniuses in every possible manner, came and worked together and collaborated together. And it was one of the first times in American history where African American voices were heard, and people saw them in print, and they saw their own challenges in print and being recognized and being celebrated. Incredible. truly incredible. We would not have had the civil rights movement if it had not been for the art that came out of the Harlem Renaissance. So listen to this poem, Harlem. I'll give you a little synopsis first. Hughes' poetry often talks about dreams, and here he speculates on the cost of not being able to pursue one's dreams. One of the phrases, "raisin in the sun," was used by playwright Lorraine Hansberry as the title of a successful play about a Black family. You ready? What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? When we say deferred, we're talking about something you put aside. So if you put aside a dream, what happens to it? Is it drying up like that raisin, forgotten about? No longer in its original form, maybe still has a use, but you're not sure? Does it fester like a sore? Think about like the grossest pimple you've ever seen. If you have that in your brain, the grossest pimple, and then it oozed over, that's festering like a sore. What if you put your dream aside and that happens? What does that mean? If it crusts over and sugary crusting falling over, think about a pie when you bake it and there's all those granules of sugar and they come over and you bite on it. It's so sweet. What happens to a dream that you defer, you put to the side, and it gets better? Does it get better and better as it bakes and becomes a crusty, sugary sweet? Or is it something that you missed out and it's dragging you down? It's a heavy load. What is a dream deferred to you? So we'll talk about that too in class. Hope you enjoyed the poems. I'll have more for you later. Bye.